are you banking that the PS5 Pro is going to be coming out at some point soon, which honestly, rumored, we don't really know. We have no official announcement. But you're also banking on top of that you're going to go ahead and play HellBlade 2 on your PS5 Pro, which we also don't have an announcement for that either. This is you doing nothing more than wishful thinking.
Alright everybody, welcome back to another Xvault gaming video. Xvault here, and today, yes, you got your next dose of the salty batch files, and yes, we opened up with an Alex video, and we're not done with just the opener for him. Let's talk about that video real quick, and among other things as well, HellBlade 2 related. Look forward to probably a sequel to this subject matter, if you will. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump to it. Alright, so like I said, what we're going to do is get right to the salt, of course. We opened up with a great receipt. Alex has been creating this great paper trail, or digital paper trail, if you will, in regards to stupid things he's saying, stupid things that he thinks he knows about and he doesn't, and he continues to get egg on his face. I just want to reiterate how wrong he is a lot of the time. He might be right from certain aspects, but again, it's nothing out in left field or anything like that. What we're looking at is straight on receipts. You can't help, like you said, just be this continual grifter, protector of the Xbox community, protector of this fake shilling astronomy out there, if you will. Have his own little circle of things. But of course, you got to keep the grift. The grift is real. If you don't do that, you lose sheep, you lose followers, you lose all that power, and he doesn't want to lose the power and the money and all that stuff. So you continue to see stupid stuff like this. Like, anybody could see the writing on the wall. Again, you don't have to be Nostradamus, you don't have to be an industry insider, you don't have to have all sort of special contacts. It's common sense. We all knew at that point in time, without it being official, that it's a good 90% chance going to be happening. The whole slate, even at that point, was writing on the wall. All this stuff is writing on the wall. It's not hard to discern. It's not hard to comprehend. But those that have a hard time comprehending and try to placate things, try to smooth it out a little bit better, and be like, guys, look, there's nothing official, at the time of that video, right? It's guys, there's nothing totally official. You can't be saying this, and you... Give me a break. Continue to shield everybody. Continue to do what you do. Continue to grift and shield. You're not beating those allegations. I'm sorry. You're just not. Pretty pathetic, and there's more receipts from you to come in future videos, and we'll get to those as well. But that being said, let's go get over to our first post example here. And again, we haven't featured him a whole ton lot because it's not hard to dunk on this idiot. He's wrong on the daily. He gets his account restricted on the daily because he says stupid stuff. All this stuff I'm not part of. But, when stupid posts come up, we have to feature it from time to time. So anyway, Ninja Marius du Fromage, right? HellBlade 2 is not on PlayStation. This is back from May of last year. Basically almost a year to date from the time of this recording, right? You love to see it. There's so many receipts. They were very sure of themselves that this stuff was not going to happen. Of course, Bulgaria. Give it a year. It'll pop on PS5 about a month before Ninja Theory gets shut down. Now, obviously, they didn't get shut down. We don't want any dev studio to be shut down regardless. They put their heart and soul into these games. However, he wasn't far off, right? Most of us were not far off. We knew the writing was on the wall was going to happen. And again, egg on the face to Ninja Marius du Fromage, whatever he wants to keep changing his name to. But Marius, the weirdo there, of course. We're not going to be done with him as time goes on, guys. But let's get over to our next example. That's just short and sweet, right? Now we have the Catfish, aka Andrea Piccinini, Joseph Cruz, all this moniker stuff, rebranded as Ascension, right? You're the one hurt playing HellBlade 2 at 0 FPS on the PS5, a bunch of crying emojis, right? In 2 years, maybe Sony makes one game that can come close to these graphics or this graphics, which is weird that they I don't think there are any other, I think English is their normal speaking language, so it's weird that they make these weird connotations here. But anyways, as you can see, they show it with HellBlade 1 and 2 and PS5 and the 0 FPS thing that they're referring to. Again, more egg on their face. These receipts are great. It's good to go back to these because they were so sure about it. And again, why do I bring these up? Because right now, what's the narrative, folks? What is the narrative? The narrative is It doesn't matter. Exclusives are a thing of the past now. It doesn't bother us. You ponies play these games, but you have to pay for them now. So you're funding our Game Pass. It's the same rhetoric. So now that's the narrative goalpost shaming, is you have to buy the games. PlayStation doesn't have enough first-party games, this, and this. It goes on and on and on. It's whatever makes them feel better. The coping is at an all-time high. You wouldn't catch me being like, oh, coming up with some stupid excuse if PlayStation first-party games went over to another competing platform. It is what it is. I'd be like, yeah, it is what it is. Like, there's no rebuttaling this. There is no damage controlling this. It is what it is. But that's what they do. That's what they do. That's where the delusion's there. That's where the grifting, the cult mentality, all that stuff there. But let's keep going here. So remember a little over a year ago as well, we got some receipts, like I said. Post up here, everybody's favorite flat earther, as I recall multiple times for y'all. HellBlade 2 exclusive, OD exclusive. The other Kojima game at the time was going to be exclusive. Still might be for a short time. I don't know. Blade exclusive, which was very forward thinking when they didn't even outright state that Blade was ever going to be exclusive. And then very pretentious to state that Elder Scrolls 6 was going to be exclusive. And then, of course, Indiana Jones exclusive, South of Midnight exclusive. You can have that. Clockwork Revolution's exclusive. Still waiting on that, but we all know hashtag whole slate is coming. And then, of course, Avowed exclusive. Again, more than likely a timed exclusive at this point in time. Hashtag whole slate. And there's still so many more IPs to be shown and announced with the Lil Wayne gift there, meme. Do you see? Again, I bring these up because they were so high and mighty on these exclusives, and now it just doesn't matter. They changed their tune. Not only do they have egg on their face, not only do they change the narratives, but we have the receipts to prove that they try to act like the exclusives never mattered. It's not a big deal. Game Pass is the way. They still don't learn. They don't learn their lessons. They still go down with the ship. Some of these guys go down with the ship still. It's absolutely phenomenal to me why you want to continue to invest your time, money, and effort into something if you truly believed one way, right? This is my thing. Play where you want. Be happy where you want, right? I state that all the time. However, when we have these hard narratives here, right? This is what mattered to them. So when what matters to you is taken away and it's gone, why would you continue to invest in an ecosystem that is taking away what you thought was so important? If you want to stay around, that's on you, right? I don't care. Again, play where you want, how you want, and all that stuff. But the fact that you're changing the narrative shows how flaky and flimsy you are, and how, the shilling is on another level. It really is. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? We are now in real time, and how so much has shifted. I'd be like, yeah, you know what? It is what it is. Those matter to me, but, I guess I'm just stuck. They're not being honest with themselves and others. They try to just shift it. That's why I'm calling this stuff out. If you still want to play where you want to play, that's up to you. If you want to shuck all that to the side and still continue on, that's up to you. But don't pretend that you weren't all about that, and then all of a sudden it doesn't matter. What does matter in the end? Does it not matter that all this stuff is taken away? Where are your principles? Where do you stand? All that stuff there. But gotta love to see it here. So again, now let's get to the part where we have some real-time salt here as well in addition to this, right? Ninja Theory stating, today on the 1-year anniversary of the release of Senua's Saga HellBlade 2, we have a special update for you on the game. That's where they're talking about updates and such and so forth. And of course, coming over to the PlayStation 5. This is the big thing, right? Shame seeing this from an Xbox studio. Why don't you sign another exclusive deal with Sony like you guys did with HellBlade 1 in one of the Xbox worst times then Xbox gamers needed games? Or do Heavenly Sword for the PS5 with Sony, you like to talk about it so much. So obviously very upset about it. Name is straight up Fable for Fable reboots. Very upset about this and just feels betrayed. These fans ultimately feel betrayed. I know we talk about the shills and the grifters and the talking heads, the ones we feature over and over on these channels, right? But these are the people in the thick of it, right? When we feature some of these guys, when these sort of events and the next exclusive goes to PlayStation, right? This is what we go through in the thick of things, and they are upset, and coping and saltiness is galore, right? It's at an all-time high at this point in time. It really is pretty crazy to me. But again, I would feel the same way. I'd feel betrayed. I get it, but it's definitely there. Just talking out their feelings, doing all that good stuff there. But let's continue on here. So Jose, tagging Phil Spencer, is the worst Xbox CEO. I don't think he's wrong on that in regards to things, but again, we have to keep in mind how things have changed and how they banked on Game Pass and how, again, we're going to revisit this whole thing we go over time and time again on this channel, is it's not just the corporate heads, it's not just the CEOs, it's not just the businessmen within Microsoft or the Xbox umbrella there. The fans bought into Game Pass as well. You guys can think for yourselves. You really can. You can step to the side, take a look at it outside the box, right? Pun intended, pun not intended, however you want to take that. And just look at how the reality of things are. As a group, as a fan base, maybe you should have taken a step back and be like, guys, I don't know how I feel about this renting stuff. I know the value's there. I know Game Pass is a great value. However, how does this help them in the long run? A lot of people are echoing out the fact that this isn't going to be sustainable, especially if those sub numbers don't come up and are available to the corporation to deem successful. What would happen? What would happen if it's not? Maybe we should start buying the games or continue to buy the games just in case. And then let's see how this pans out. Maybe we can buy the games and invest in Game Pass and, make a combination of it, a combination effort of this and see what happens there. And then if we need to peel back from buying these games and Game Pass is the way, then great. They get all those subs and it continues and we get exclusives and fantastic. But you guys can do the thinking for yourselves. Just because someone's a fan of another platform doesn't mean they're not stating the truth to you guys. And here we are in this mess for y'all, right? I wouldn't say for me, I didn't invest heavily into the Xbox ecosystem as I seen the writing on the wall and nobody wanted to listen. But that's that. So let's keep going here. Now, speaking of the normal talking heads here, let's remember also Falco X here, right? We all know where the action is going to be this gen. Very confident, right? Starting off. HellBlade 2, Starfield, Redfall. Puts in Redfall, ladies and gentlemen. The Elder Scrolls 6, Forza Motorsport, and many more Xbox games available on PC and Xbox Game Pass, right? This is why you see a lot of the PC grifters and shills, right? Just kind of create this unified community and unified circle of fan base and coping, if you will. But they've always had Xbox Game Pass on PC as well, or at least for quite some time. And so they're kind of synonymous, right? Xbox is helping us out. A lot of Xbox fans are also somewhat PC fans, and they're okay with the PC fan base, and they're kind of one and the same in a way. So that's why you get a lot of camaraderie in regards to that. If somebody on the outside looking in is like, why are the PC shills and grifters so tight with all the Xbox shills and grifters, right? Why is that the case? Well, because they kind of offer each other some camaraderie there by sharing that game system and ecosystem, so that's where it's going. But again, more egg on the face for Falco, and he states that, of course, just getting an Xbox with the HellBlade 2 deal. That was passed around for quite some time, and again, no shade at HellBlade 2, but it is not worth a full price game, even at $40. From what I understand, it is an 8-hour or less game, very linear. Only one mini boss fight in the beginning. I'm not going to spoil for anybody that doesn't know any of the story beats and stuff like that and how you do things, but there's not a lot going on, guys. It's very beautiful, very pretty to look at, but again, very linear, very tight, very short. Not a lot going on in regards to gameplay. So I keep hearing that HellBlade 1 was better than number 2, which is a shame because that game took forever and had a lot of polish and graphical stuff to be melded into this game that we were hoping for more. At least the Xbox fan base was hoping for more, even though they're going to tell you it was one of the best games of all time. Believe it or not, but you gotta love it. I just can't get over these receipts here. So speaking of receipts, let's go over to, we don't feature Rand al'Thor very often, but here he is, right? Wherever you do or whatever you do not retweet or like this post. We certainly don't want to see more people get triggered all day long. Hashtag Xbox, hashtag just get an Xbox, hashtag Xbox exclusives, right? And again with the same meme. The same meme, guys. I don't know what else to say to this, right? We're going to revisit this over and over again. Why don't we show, and I'm going to have a lot more examples in upcoming video in real time for other fans and stuff and their salt and coping with this whole HellBlade to PS5, which we knew was coming. We know Halo's coming as well, right? Now we know Gears is coming. We had videos over that. Forza's coming. All these games, the whole slate. You know Avowed's going to follow. You know Fable's going to follow, the whole slate, right? Let's get that out of the way multiple times here. But back then they were so confident at the time of even right before HellBlade 2's release that this was going to be the game that was going to make everybody jealous, right? HellBlade 2 is going to make everybody jealous. It's going to be interesting to see how well HellBlade 2 does sell on PlayStation 5, because the word has got around that, look, this game, even at $40, I'd still wait for a pretty steep discount. This game's going to be one and done in a weekend. Not a lot of replayability going on, stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting to see how the sales play out. And of course, the Xbox fanboy narrative will be, well, now you PlayStation guys don't buy games. You know, whatever shifts for the week, right? Whatever they need to orient to, whatever the case is, that's what they do. It's pathetic. It's sad. They have no leg to stand on. This is why they're laughed at as a community. Because a lot of the talking heads make the normal Xbox fans look like morons, and that's unfortunate for the normal Xbox fans because they don't deserve it. Like, a gamer is a gamer. They don't deserve it, but you got these idiots that do this, the Catfishes, the Alexes, the Gazes, which is now the PC guys, Randall Thor, all this stuff. I mean, they've done this for so long. They make the regular Xbox fans that have some coherency to it, that may not be in the thick of things, they make them look stupid as a gradual group, because it's like, oh, we inherently group everybody into a certain category when the loud minority speaks so profoundly, right? When they speak so stupidly, and you can't help but garner that attention in that direction, if that makes sense. But again, kind of circling back to Randall, I mean, I just really want to focus on the fact, guys, that how salty are all these guys, right? The fact that they continually, game after game after game, we're going to see it with every single, whether it be timed exclusive, whether it be supposedly was supposed to be full exclusive, we're going to see it. The biggest salt mound is obviously going to come from Halo. I think it's going to be a big hit with Fable as well, right? But man, Halo is going to be the end-all be-all. Once that topples and crumbles over, which it will, man, the salt's going to be at an all-time high. This is still just the beginning, and we've gotten Forza and Gears and now HellBlade and on and on and on. You know, that's going to be a big one. And once they validate and figure out that The Elder Scrolls 6 is also not going to be exclusive forever, at least for on Xbox, it may even be timed, who knows. Odds are, if they want some bankage money, they would just do it day and date with PlayStation 5 as well, but we'll have to see if it's timed or not. But however, again, like I said, full circle, these guys were so sure, and look how the narrative has changed, right? Exclusives mattered just a year ago, guys. Less than a year ago, exclusives mattered. And now supposedly they don't, because the ponies, the PlayStation fans, are supporting Game Pass, supporting that Game Pass function to be alive on TVs and Xbox consoles and other, devices, so they can continue to play for cheaper while the other gamers are actually paying full price, or whatever the case is. But that's not an L for the PlayStation fans. That's not an L as a gamer, to pay and support the industry, to keep it afloat as healthily in the industry as possible, right? We want this hobby to survive and thrive and garner the funds it does need to give us quality, right? There's a line, right? There's throwing money out there for no reason for garbage material, garbage IPs, garbage quality games. Don't do that. Obviously, there's a line, but the games that do, definitely deserve our money for the hobby, there's nothing wrong with that. These high-scoring games, the beloved games that are held to the gamers' hearts near and dear, this is not an L, this is not a shameful thing, this is really pathetic when any shill or grifter or any Xbox fan or talking head here is telling you that you're funding Game Pass. That is not an L on the gamer's side. That is them supporting the industry, how they see fit, and what they enjoy and want to play. It's not that hard to understand. It really isn't. But really, they're hurting inside, guys, so a moment of peace for them, but not really lay into the the fact that these guys don't know what they're talking about. Understand the difference between somebody who is truly shilling and grifting and who's not. We've seen it. This is why I go over who continues to do that. This is why I bring them up, to create awareness for this, to not be taken the foot or a fool of this, right? It's just so bad. It's so bad, but you love to see it in a way because you know they're salty, they're punching air, they're grasping at straws, they're doing everything to stay relevant. And eventually it's just going to come down to, you can't escape the fact that Microsoft is just a full-on third-party publisher, and that they are just anybody like EA and Ubisoft. They have no true exclusivity to their names for the most part, right? You love to see it, you hate to see it, wherever you're at in the pack there, but it's the facts, right? That's what we're at here. But that being said, we will wrap up the video here, folks. I do appreciate it if you stuck around for the entirety of the video. Thank you so much. Every like and comment does help out the algorithm. Also would love to hear from you. If you haven't already, definitely consider subscribing, helping out a small content creator like myself. And like I said, we have more HellBlade, lots more HellBlade to go over as well in regards to Salt and a lot of other items as well. So that being said, enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. And just remember, don't be a salty batch. And we'll see y'all next time on the next Xvault Gaming video. And until then, take care.